How many people did their father leave houses for? Put up your hand. A lot of you younger ones, they haven't left it to you yet. People have their fathers left money to. Okay. How many of you are hoping they will leave you houses and money? When we say the word inheritance, what comes to your mind? Houses, properties, money. When they call you tomorrow and say your father left you 10 billion naira in account, what will you do? How many people did their father leave houses for? Put up your hand. There are a few older people here. A lot of you younger ones, they haven't left it to you yet. You are never sure who is getting it until you get it. You know what I mean? Okay. How many people have their fathers left money to? It's still the older people putting up their hands. Okay, you are still waiting to know. Okay. How many of you are hoping they will leave you houses and money? Okay. You know, the thing is, when we say the word inheritance, what comes to your mind? Be honest. What comes to your mind? Houses, properties, money. Then when they call you tomorrow and say your father left you 10 billion naira in account, what will you do? You dance. So, what is inheritance? It's not just money. Money and houses and all the things you said, they can be part of it. But however, I can tell you the house, the older people that raised up their hand and all that, see, the money their fathers left them a few years ago is not worth as much as they thought it was worth when their fathers passed. True or false? The valuation has done what? Maybe when their father died, dollar was 190, 160. Well, it's 1,500 or thereabout now. So if you divide it, they were millionaires in dollars when their father died. They're barely thousandaires now. Conversion. That tells you just how worthless it can become. Houses that look like palaces when they were young, all of a sudden it's like boys' quarters in your generation. True or false? So that tells you just how, you know, they're ephemeral. They're here today, you don't know where they are tomorrow. They're not as valuable as you might think. They can be, but time and seasons. As I was coming here, when we got just before the end of the Third Mainland Bridge, there's that area where they just pulled down all the houses that were built there. Does anybody remember? Are you sure some children were not already planning on the inheritance of those houses? Because their parents already built those houses and all that. But then government gets up and says it's illegal. The land belongs to government. And they came and destroyed everything. End of your inheritance. If that's what you were waiting for. It happens all the time. Houses get burnt. Things happen. Sometimes you think your father has money. I was chairman of a bank. You'll be shocked how many people are in debt that are living large. Until they die, their families don't know what they really have. Very true. Please, trust me. There are many names. You know, I go to functions sometimes, I sit there and watch people, I all smile. Like this one. Empty posing. It's true. You know, their children, their wives think they're acting big. The day that guy drops dead, they're in trouble. Because they're going to come for everything. But your real inheritance, and those things can be your inheritance. And you know, the Bible says the blessings of the Lord, they make it rich, they add no sorrow. So when those things are gifts that come through God, through righteousness, in itself, if it's God's plan that that's how you'll be blessed, He will preserve it in a way. So I didn't come to curse your inheritance. I'm just establishing a point. However, there are other kinds of inheritances that cannot be taken away from you. Character. You're wondering, how is character and inheritance? You know, the character of your father and your mother and the ways of their lives and your character and the way you live now, you are writing the book of the inheritance of your children. Why? They're going to walk into places that the way you are or the way you were will speak for or speak against your children. You get them an inheritance by your behavior, by your legacy, by your kindness or your wickedness, by your empathy or your love, by showing up for people, by being an honest man that can be trusted, by being a businessman that people don't need to write all the contracts in the world and sign before they can do business with you. You are writing an inheritance for your children. Because one day, what happened to Mephibosheth? I'm sorry? Benefited from what? The relationship between who? Did he earn it? What was his inheritance there? Goodness, loyalty, relationship. But he benefited generations after. Even though, as a crippled guy that was in the back end of somewhere, how was he ever going to get there? But inheritance of the way his father was sought him out, and he benefited from it in more ways than any money that he could have thought, because everything plus more was restored to him, and he became a guest at the king's table forever. for the fathers and the mothers in the house, or those as waiting to be, so you can understand, it's not when you get married that you start building it. You're already building it. The legacy that you built, the inheritance that you want to give your children, you are writing the book of it now. You are living it. And you're a living inheritance because all of it is based on your acts of life. So when you look to your left and you look to your right, when you consider someone that you think is not as fancifully dressed as you, and you look them up and down and you think they are nothing just because you think you are someone today, remember, you do not control tomorrow. The guy that is nobody today, that you are not kind to by your actions, by your words, by your show of love, you don't know what he will be tomorrow. And you don't know where your children will get to tomorrow. That will speak for you or speak against you. Righteousness. Just think of one person that used to be celebrated, and now you know the truth about who they are. Because why? Their unrighteousness became revealed. And on account of that, you would be ashamed to say you know them. But they have children. They have wives. That life has become their inheritance. Except, if you know, some girls are lucky if they are girls, because they will marry and change name. Sorry guys. The girls sometimes can get away from it, because they will marry, they will change name, they will just be careful about telling you who their father is. But guess what? People always find out. Liability or asset? Your life, your reputation, liability or asset? Because whichever one it is, it's an inheritance you will leave for your children. They're going to be explaining or trying to prove that they're not like you. So the energy to come from under is more difficult, while someone that is even at zero. So you see, some of you think, my father is nobody, my mother is nobody. You better be thankful. Why? If they leave you at ground zero, they leave you a chance to build your own reputation. You're not fighting to make up for the bad reputation you inherited. If they are at ground zero, you can move forward. If you have the right inheritance of righteousness and of character, of reputation, it can leapfrog you forward. Because a good name, they say, is what? It's better than silver and gold. It can open doors for you. It can lift you from the back end of nowhere as a cripple and get you to the altar. I always say I'm grateful for my very simple father. That's true. I come from a middle-class family, like most of you. My father was a professional. Went to school in England, the food technologies, worked in all the food industries, Nigeria, US. Did I cause any trouble? Okay, now I'm lost. What did I say? Middle class. Me? I said my parents were. Oh, so in your church, we don't say middle class. So what are they? Because I'm lost, totally lost.
They're saying that if your dad schooled abroad, he's not middle class.
Okay, you see your problem? Generational understanding. Let me go to my peers. In the time of our parents, listen, in the time of our parents, every ordinary Nigerian who had the ambition to go to school abroad did not have to come from any rich family. First and foremost, they did not even need a visa to go to England, because we were a British colony. That's one. Two, there were scholarships abundantly for most of them. Two, the cost, I think my parents went to Elder Dempster. They had these ships that used to take 3 weeks or 1 month to get to London. Once you walk, and see, to explain it, my father's father was a policeman. Not even policeman, Akoda. Do you know what Akoda is? Do you understand? The policemen of them, their uniforms were brown, khaki and shorts. And they had these hats, and they had their stick, and they had their bicycle. My father first joined the police as a young man because he was like his father was a good thing to be then as a young officer. In fact, my dad was one of those stunt riders that used to ride on those. He was a rascal in his own ways. So he was a stunt rider on the bikes and all of that. But he had ambition in his heart. He wanted to do more with his life. And all of them, all they had to do was save enough money to get on the Elder Dempster. You get scholarships. When you get to England, you can even be working and paying for your school. So it's a different time from your time. So yes, it was middle class. And guess how Nigeria's middle class was built? that generation of people who went off to seek better education and then came back as professionals who then worked across industries or in civil service and all of that. That's who they were. They were not rich people. What they did was they would build a house or two. They would train their children to go to school. Wait. Kulu temper. You see the problem of Nigeria? Just wait. What you must learn is how to function in your own season. The context of each season is different. What is important is how do you, in your own time, this time, live above your generation or leap above your generation by understanding the context of your own season and working above it. What parents like mine, who then, even though they came from, I don't know, were they even middle class at that point, but they could be ambitious. And many of them that went to school abroad were from ordinary families. They had my father grew up in Ibadan, lived in Ibadan. When he was in the police force, in fact, as he used to show us, I used to live in the barracks at Obalende. Then it was a decent barracks. It was not the barracks that they now destroyed. But they were policemen. But he knew he could do more with his life and decided he wanted to go abroad. And you will save your money, your salary, to make yourself be able to go. And you work with the time. If they say all of you can go to school abroad in London now without visa, how many of you will still be here? See your wallet now. My father was a middle class man. For his time and his season, he was. And so he gave us a good education. You see, my father went to school abroad, but we went to school in Nigeria. Why? Nigerian universities were as good as universities abroad then. I went to Ife. Yes. Yeah. Great Ife. I went to Ife. Another of my sisters went to Ife. One of my sisters went to Benin. One went to Jos. My brother went to Ibadan. We all went to school in Nigeria. We went for postgraduate abroad when we could afford to pay for our postgraduate. Sound familiar now? Yeah. Anyway, let's go on. Righteousness, don't forget, it's not just about you, it's about your generations. It's the legacy you're building for your children. Your legacy. What is a legacy? A memorial of everything that you are. Are you paying attention? Have you ever sat down to say, this is my last day on the face of the earth? When I read the book of my life, what do I want to read in it? You're blessed, most of you are young. So you can afford to be intentional about building that legacy. Why? That legacy will be your children's inheritance. People will block them because of you, or people will open multiple doors because of you. Pay attention, build it. You can be killing everybody trying to leave your children houses and cars and money. Guess what? The children you do not train will destroy the houses and the money that you leave behind. They will sell them for peanuts. I have watched it happen. I'm telling you. Can't even begin to tell you stories. But if you do not invest in building the right legacy of righteousness, raise up your children in the way that they should go. When they grow up, they will not do what? They will not depart. No matter how far away from you they are. If you have built the right foundation in them, when the wind of the world comes against them, something will rise up on the inside of them. When it matters most, the word in them will speak. So when you take your children to children's church, it's not just for the convenience of you sitting here to listen to the message. It's because you're building for them a foundation upon which they will have to build later by themselves. But without that foundation, it's more difficult for them to build. But if you've nurtured and put the word of God in them, then they have a chance. When it matters the most, they will have a substance. When you're floating and you're about to sing, the word you do not know, you cannot speak. So the foundation you have not built for your children, they can't build on. They will be starting from ground zero. And when someone offers them other kind of powers, they would not know that they're out of line. Why? They have no reference point. So watch the legacy you're building. Don't make the legacy of your life accidental, because you will subject your children to accidents. Be intentional about your legacy. I make choices intentionally. It's so convenient to do the wrong thing in this country. With the places I sit, very easy. Because you know what? You can get so much by just complying. Do you know the cost of not complying? I make hard choices every day. I pay price that people ask, are you mad? But I'm mad enough to know it's the right price for me to pay. I'm mad enough to follow God no matter the cost. I'm mad enough to know that when it's over, it's me and God. It's one woman and her God accounting for her life. I'm mad enough to know that when I'm gone, my life will speak for against my children. And I want them every day. I used to say to my children when they were younger, we were arguing, you are insisting on something. I said, Mommy, why do you like to make things difficult for us? I said to them one day, I said, you know, at a stage in your life, you come and thank me for all those things you think I made your life difficult by making you do. And so love is not indulgence. Love is not indulgence. Love is not accommodating the wrong things. You cannot accommodate in your friends in your siblings, in your relationships, in even those that work for you. You cannot accommodate in your children. You can't. Your pastor will be failing if he sees you do the wrong thing and just to keep you in church, he doesn't call you out. God chastises those that he what? So how can he be wrong to correct? As parents, we get carried away. I don't want my children to suffer as I did. Really? They will suffer times 10 if you don't give them the right foundation. I'm the wicked witch in our house. I'm happy to be. My husband loves his children too much. So, they like to say, daddy will be like, it's okay. That's why. Opposites attract. There are days that you must put your foot down. There are things if you truly love people, you must be willing to be the enemy for a season. Because they will come back to thank you. You cannot build homes and raise children without establishing the love God's way. And if God chastises those that he loves, how are you not chastising the ones that you love? If you're a wife, that because you're afraid your husband will leave you, you can't tell him the truth. You have failed as a wife. That's the truth. Yes, you can correct in love, which means you must know how to deliver the message. The how is important. But the truth you must tell. Most men that do wrong things have wives that enable them. Let's be honest. Because they benefit from the fruits of sin, they enable them. If you sleep beside a man every day and he's doing the wrong thing and you do not have the courage to call him out, you will both sink in the ship together. A good name, we already spoke about. Understand, the goodness of your name is the goodness of your character every day. It's what you do. Simply your everyday journey is a daily walk of life, a daily book of life. The trail that you leave morning, afternoon, and night. You can't greet people. What? Are you God? You are waiting for everybody to greet you. That's what? I like to shock people. I like to shock people. I like when, if I enter a lift, this is one thing I do, especially when I'm abroad. If I enter a lift, I know Igbo people, they can act like this. I like to look for trouble. So if I enter a lift and you're in it, I'm saying good morning. You know as I say, I said good morning. No, I'm serious. And they'll say, oh, I'm sorry, good morning. I'm like, fine, how are you today? Fine, thank you. End of story. Let me tell you one funny story. So when my husband and I, we got married and we used to live in one house on Bode Thomas Street in Surulere, yes. And we had this Baba landlord and Baba landlady. I don't wish them on you. They're both dead now, thank God. They're old now, they died at an old age. But the reality was, we were a young couple. My husband already rented the place when we met. In fact, we met because he wanted to come and order furniture for that apartment from me. That's why instead of buying furniture, the guy found the girl. Let's continue. So I got paid to furnish the apartment I was going to live in. Okay. Anyhow, I don't think I realized that the Baba landlord and the Baba landlady, they had a daughter that I think was, they had already identified my husband as a good catch. Just wait. So, my husband worked on the island, she worked on the island, and they said, you can be giving her a ride every morning. So they were riding every morning until this silly girl showed up, and then, so I was the enemy from the beginning. They actually made my life miserable. Even before we got married, they were just terrible at me. Like, how can a young girl like this own a furniture factory? I even thought it was her father's home. Where did she find the money? This is them saying to my husband's sister that they should tell their mother to go and investigate me. Where did a young girl? See, they did not understand the hand of God when it's upon your life. Anyway, that was one of those 1 million stories I could tell you about them. But one day, I was lamenting to my friend's mom that, when I greet them, sometimes they won't answer. She said, and that's your problem. I said, yes. Now, how can I be greeting elderly people and they won't answer me? She said, walking on water alone. I said, mommy, how do you do that? She said, well, you say, good morning, ma. Yes, ma. Thank you, ma. What happened? Life is simple. That once you greet them, imagine they've answered you, said the next thing, and said the next thing. And you know what? It works. Because instantly, I get the satisfaction as if I just had a normal conversation. I have used that thing as a weapon throughout my journey from that moment. Whether in a boardroom, I can deal with anybody. Why? Because I realize that you cannot offend me except I choose to be offended. And it's about how you manage that. So instead of 1 or 2 other younger brides in the house that abused and insulted them, I never did. Because what would be my testimony as a young Christian married girl who would insult her father's age mate? That cannot happen. And I was conscious of that. So all I'm saying to you is be intentional about your actions. Know that everything you do every day has a cost. It costs to you and it costs to your generations. Build it in your act of love. Remember, for every alternative action, you have another alternative. You must control the choices. Don't let, they say who pays the piper dictates the tune. Guess what? You only choose to play to the tune. Always ensure that you're not someone who responds to others' action. You're someone who initiates your action by choice. They're two different things. If all you are doing is responding to what other people do, they're your boss and your master. But no matter what they do, if you learn to pace yourself, to allow the emotion of the moment to pass, you will decide what will be your action, not that you're just responding to their action. And therefore, you will control how you build your own legacy every day by choice. Why? Your legacy is your children's inheritance, and it's your life. You will benefit from it, or it will work against you. Now, true love chastises, true love encourages, true love nurtures, true love leads the way, true love shows the way, true love teaches the way. Now, when you think about the fact that you're a nurturer, you're an encourager, you're leading the way, you're showing the way, you will be conscious of your own action. Why? Children learn more from what they see than what you say. No matter what you say to a child, if he sees the opposite, he will never believe you, because what you do is a bigger microphone than what you say. So you must understand that in dealing with people, even with your friends. Let your example be the reason that men and women are drawn to you to seek for your wisdom. And then you will share the wisdom that comes from God. Why? Because your life already speaks. Look, okay, I preach because I have to walk into churches. Sometimes I'm preach. But guess what? Our biggest sermon is with our lives. That is the truth. In my world, you don't get to say Jesus all of the time. In a boardroom, you can't. But guess what? The way you behave, the way you conduct yourself must speak your Jesus. It must communicate your righteousness. It must communicate your character. It must communicate your values. It must communicate your faith. So your faith is not just your spoken faith. I'm a Christian, so cheap. Live being a Christian. Pay the price of being the Christian. Let the man and the woman who needs help look for you because they have seen Christ in you. And remember, the life you're living becomes the inheritance not just for your children, for your children's children. Remember Timothy, 3 generations. Paul said, the faith that I see in you is what? It's faith of Lois, your grandmother, and Eunice, your mother. And because of that, he was drawn to Timothy as a mentor to nurture him. If 10 people ask me to mentor them, if I meet one that comes from someone I have dealt with before, that I respect and I see, which one will I be more drawn to? That person is benefiting from the legacy of the righteousness of their generations. Silver and gold you can give, but all of it is worth nothing if the rest is lost. So pay the price of showing love through the way you live, showing love through your character, investing in your generations. When you do, even when you leave money, have you seen inheritance that has destroyed families? All of the time. Just to share what they didn't work for. No. Just to share what they did not work for. They will kill themselves. What do you think is missing in the house? Somebody built money and houses, but did not build love and unity and togetherness, and did not live the right values. Because greed is a spirit. And if you don't show children that greed makes sense, it will not make sense. If you raise children to love, to lean on each other, to value themselves more than all the inheritance, they will not even marry the woman that will come and infuse them with it so that they will scatter. Because another problem is that the boy or the girl will marry one spouse. That's what they didn't know before will be introduced. And just by marrying one person, the whole family will scatter. True or false? So we play with all of these things, but our families cannot survive. Our generations cannot be secured if we don't pay attention to them. Everybody's working so hard to build. I left 10 houses for my children. I want to leave 10 houses for my children. But I also want to leave them just enough to fulfill the word of God that says the righteous man will do what? Leave an inheritance for their children. I do not want to leave too much that they lose their dream, their vision, and their own ambition. I do not want to leave for my children what will take away from them the ability to express their own gifts in their generation. So pay attention, because you might be concerned, I don't want my children to suffer like me. What do you know that is God's agenda in the journey of their own life? How do you ensure that you are not the one that will destroy the work of God? And we do it in church as well. Sometimes you think you're showing love. You go and help people in a way that you're getting in the way of God's plan. Why? Because we can become arrogant about showing love. Because there's a power and a feeling that comes from being the helper. And we can forget that we're not really the helper. God, the great helper, can cause anyone to be the tool of his help. If he calls you to be the helper, you can only help according to his will. The treasurer is a keeper of God's resources. And as you prove yourself to be true, the Lord will commit more into your hands. You will benefit from it, but you will also have understanding that it's not yours. When God calls for it, you will know. Now, when you don't own something, you don't give it anyhow. When there's a call on it, you will go to the source and ask him, is this something you want me to do? So even in your love of giving, you must be discerning and you must be a follower of God's instructions. Otherwise, sometimes you give amiss and you get in the way of God and what he's doing. So wisdom is required. Sometimes people around you will leap miles ahead of you. It's okay. If you're a man or woman who understands God, you will know that the seasons of our lives are different. Yours and mine. Some will run very fast, but they will slow down in the middle and pace out to the end. Some start slow, but they speed up much later and they can run till the end. As it pleases the Lord, he ordains our lives. Raise your home, build it according to the pattern of the word. Don't be the husband that thinks your wife is only good enough if she's kneeling down to you every day. That's what? That you are God? No. The Bible says he who finds a wife does what? And does what? And obtains favor. If your wife is miserable and unhappy, when you pray, the Lord will not hear you. If you're a man leading a home, your wife is an asset. Everything she carries is to make sure that between both of you, your home stands as an institution of righteousness. And you know, when one hand is weak, the other is up. When one is down, the other is up. You will always be able to lift each other up. Sometimes businesses go wrong. Sometimes you lose jobs. Sometimes things are not working. Imagine if the two of you are running together. As in the best of both of you is fully manifested. You will raise children that are balanced for all times. I cannot imagine the sons of mine thinking that they will marry a woman that they will lock inside. Which door? Imagine if you're both running your race. Imagine your double network. The day you're looking for something or someone, maybe you don't know. Maybe your wife says, hey, actually I met that guy at one meeting somewhere. The blessings of the Lord, they make you rich. If your wife is a blessing, she will make you rich. If your husband is a blessing, he will make you rich. You must learn to understand. You know, my guests that I was talking about, they asked me one question yesterday. One of them said, how are Nigerian women able to run at the highest level and still be the wives they are in your cultural context? I said, look, you live in your context. In 2026 today, the Nigerian woman still knows she's subject to the culture of her people. And therefore, in her home, the head of the home is womb. So does the Bible say. So if you recognize that God's wisdom is prevalent over your life, then you know that God knows what he's doing. And therefore, it's a protection for the woman. And the order of the house, there isn't a ship without a captain. But it is not to enslave any woman, nor should any woman allow herself to be enslaved. Nor does any wise man who understands that the gift in his wife is to bless their household and him, keep her down. Because in your day of trouble, the value of help you will get from your wife is the value of help you have allowed her to mature to be able to deliver. So you can self-sabotage. Please don't. I've been married for 35 years. This is my 36th year of marriage. I'm married to a good man. I can say that 1,000,000 times. I'm married to a good man. And a man who, the woman he married, as much as she seemed like she was going somewhere, she's a far cry from the woman she is now. And yet, he had the capacity to arise into the man who could accommodate my vision and my ambition and continuously support me. And we have a home that remains. It takes two. That is my last word to you. It will take two, the woman and the man. So your role in building your family, if you want your children to have a great inheritance, they must see a home that works. And it starts from that. So you guys work at building your unity and then create an enabling environment for your children. Then they themselves will become children of greatness.
May that grace that makes rich, may that grace that can empower a man, rolling away financial shame from lives and families, receive that grace right now.